Dinosaurs. Tyrannosaurus rex, Triceratops, Stegosaurus, and the lovable Parasaurolophus. They are objectively the coolest things to ever exist. How are we measuring that? Don't worry about it. Since their discovery, dinosaurs have enthralled people around the world of all ages. And since the beginning of cinema, they have enthralled filmmakers. But when we think of dinosaur movies, what's the first thing that comes to mind? It's this. It's obviously 100% Jurassic Park, followed by its many inferior sequels, and I don't know, I guess if you're a true freak, Theodore Rex.
Looking back over the past 40 years of cinema, in the time that visual effects technology advanced to the point where believable dinosaurs could be achieved, it's kind of shocking how few dinosaur movies there actually are, especially when you put aside all 13 direct-to-video Land Before Time sequels. Like, sure, I guess you can count King Kong movies if you want, but those aren't really dinosaur movies. Those are King Kong movies that have dinosaurs in a couple scenes. As I mentioned in a recent Q&A video, join our Patreon to watch those every week. I am a self-confessed slut for dinosaurs. I love those big old lizards. If there's a movie with a T-Rex stomping around, you know I'm gonna be there to watch it. No matter how bad they sometimes are, you will always see me stepping out of the theater saying, "Wow, nice dino!" And clearly, I'm not alone here. Every single movie with the word Jurassic in the title, no matter the quality, has made insane amounts of money. Last summer, did anyone actually really like Jurassic World Rebirth? No, not really, and yet it's still made more than $200 million more than Superman, a movie that pretty much everyone liked a whole lot. Or Jurassic World Dominion, an utterly disastrous film that takes a premise that would seem impossible to fuck up, and then somehow, astonishingly, finds a way to fuck it up. It is a movie liked by no one ever, and it still made $1 billion. Question: what is the highest grossing installment in the Ice Age franchise? Answer: Ice Age 3: Dawn of the Dinosaurs. Hollywood has a long history of going all in to try to replicate any major success. After X-Men and Spider-Man, we got 80,000 more superhero movies. After Gladiator, we got years and years of historical epic action movies. After Avatar, we got everything in 3D for the next decade. And so why, in the wake of 7 massively successful Jurassic Park movies, has Hollywood refused to flood our multiplexes with dinosaur movies? They're not even an IP. Literally anyone can put a T-Rex in a movie. Why aren't there T-Rexes in every movie? It is one of the most mystifying questions in all of cinema. Because unlike, say, the demise of the mid-budget adult drama or the theatrical comedy, this absence of dinosaur films flies right in the face of the most cynical, profit-minded motives Hollywood could have. And last I checked, those are exactly the sorts of motives that Hollywood tends to have.
This is the question that I'm here today to answer. Why aren't there more dinosaur movies? Dinosaurs. These are the most interesting creatures to ever exist. They have the majesty of elephants combined with the danger of sharks. They're covered in big spikes and horns, they have big pointy teeth, and most importantly, they're just really fucking big. Growing up, almost every kid experiences what is called a dinosaur phase. Now, don't quote me on this because it's probably wrong, but I believe it was Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget who broke the psyche of the average child into 4 distinct quadrants of interest. Up here there is modes of transportation, as in trucks or trains, then outer space, then unicorns, and over here, you guessed it, dinosaurs. Suffice to say, there is just something about these big, roaring, stompin' and chompin' lizards of yore that speaks to the inner child in all of us. Because we can't forget the most important thing about dinosaurs: that they all died out millions of years ago. You can play with toys or go look at skeletons in a museum, but none of us have ever or will ever encounter a dinosaur for real. The closest thing we have to that experience is the movies. Dinosaurs. Despite going extinct 65 million years ago, for over a century, writers have been obsessed with the notion of, what if they didn't? As the study of paleontology and the public's interest in it grew rapidly through the latter half of the 19th century, in the early 1900s, dinosaurs exploded into popular culture. The first writers to properly tackle the subject of what if humans met dinosaurs were Frank Mackenzie Saville in his 1901 novel Beyond the Great South Wall, followed by Jules Lermina's 1910 novel L'Effrayante Aventure. But the book that really popularized dinosaur fiction as we know it was the 1912 adventure novel The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So if you ever wondered where the Jurassic Park sequel got its name, there you go. Doyle's book, about an expedition that discovers an island where dinosaurs still exist, was a major success, and in 1925 it was adapted into a feature-length film. The film featured, at the time, pioneering special effects by Willis O'Brien, who would go on to animate more dinosaurs in 1933's King Kong. But despite being a silent film in the earliest days of cinema, The Lost World wasn't even the first dinosaur movie. That would be Winsor McCay's 1914 animated film Gertie the Dinosaur, a 12-minute film in which Gertie, a lovable brontosaurus, performs some tricks. And also, notably, this is one of the rare movies where dinosaurs aren't just presented as monsters trying to eat people. After King Kong, there was a lull for several decades in dinosaur cinema. And in their place, we got plenty of giant monster movies like The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms or Godzilla, with monsters that resembled dinosaurs but technically weren't. In the 60s, there was a brief resurgence of dino movies, thanks to the pioneering stop-motion effects of Ray Harryhausen in films like 1 Million Years BC and The Valley of Gwangi. Now, were these movies scientifically accurate? No. But who cares? They look awesome. Like, look at this dinosaur interacting with a live-action person. That still is hella impressive 60 years later. Around this time, in the late 60s, a major breakthrough occurred in paleontology known as the Dinosaur Renaissance that completely changed how we view dinosaurs. Before this, scientists thought of them as slow-moving, cold-blooded reptiles that walked with a vertical spine in a kangaroo pose. But the Dinosaur Renaissance is when our understanding changed. And ever since, we've seen them as fast, agile, warm-blooded creatures that are more related to birds. But these discoveries would not be represented in cinema for over 2 decades. And so, for a time, dino movies went dark once again. Flash forward to 1993, when a director named Steve, reeling from the mixed reception to his deeply weird midlife crisis movie aimed at children, decided to win everyone back by making the best shit of all time. Jurassic Park was and still is a phenomenon. At the time, it was the highest grossing movie in history. It showed up making the seemingly impossible promise to deliver totally believable dinosaurs on screen for the first time ever, and then it did it. It did it. The crazy sons of bitches, they did it. The inner child of everyone on the planet suddenly reawakened and said, hell fucking yeah, let's go. And so logically, in the wake of that enormous success, we got a whole bunch of other movies trying to cash in on dino fever. Right? Right? No, that didn't happen. Instead,
All we got was Theodore Rex, the buddy cop movie where Whoopi Goldberg teams up with a talking dinosaur. A movie that was so embarrassing that its studio scrapped its planned theatrical release and released it straight to video. So what happened? Where were all the dinosaur movies? Well, in the mid-90s, there were way fewer visual effects companies than there are now. Photorealistic CGI was still a very new thing, and Industrial Light and Magic, the leading effects company, was the only one that could convincingly do dinosaurs, since they invented the technology for Jurassic Park. And then after that, they went on and did The Flintstones, which was also produced by Spielberg. The problem, quite simply, was that no one else was able to do dinosaurs that could ever hope to compete with Jurassic Park. And also, at the time, Spielberg kind of had a monopoly on dinosaur cinema. In 1988, 5 years before Jurassic Park, he produced Don Bluth's animated adventure movie, The Land Before Time, and in 1993, the same year as Jurassic Park, he produced We're Back, a Dinosaur Story. Now look, Spielberg may have been the dinosaur guy, and he did make the greatest dinosaur movie of all time, but his involvement did not immediately mean quality. We're Back, which I'm assuming most of you millennials have not watched since you were kids, is one of the most demented kids movies ever made. Like, yeah, I know you all remember the parade sequence, which is fun, but do you remember that in that movie, the dinosaurs are able to talk because a guy in a time-traveling spaceship shows up and feeds them a special breakfast cereal that makes them smart. And then most of the movie is about an evil scientist named Professor Screw Eyes who turns kids into chimpanzees to perform in his circus. Look, We're Back is a fun movie to talk about, but it's not good. Okay? I'm sorry to puncture a hole in your nostalgia. But yeah, the movie's not good, and it was also a big flop. Which is amazing, because, it features the voice of Jay Leno as an alien named Vorb.
Take one bite, you'll have an idea. Take 2 bites, you'll have an hypothesis.
Anyway, the one real attempt to compete with Jurassic Park was 1998's Godzilla, directed by Roland Emmerich. Obviously, Godzilla is not a dinosaur, but, it's another big lizard that ate people, so close enough. And much of the marketing for Godzilla was built around directly challenging Jurassic Park's throne, emphasizing the size of Godzilla, how much bigger it was than dinosaurs, by having it crush a T-Rex skeleton. And the movie itself blatantly ripped off Jurassic Park with a whole sequence involving baby Godzillas that were basically just velociraptors. But as a great man once said, you come at the king, you best not miss. And Godzilla missed. The movie turned out to be not very good, and while not a flop, it did not even approach the success of Jurassic Park or its sequel, The Lost World. In the 21st century, visual effects were evolving rapidly, and way more effects companies were emerging, so Industrial Light and Magic was no longer the only place capable of making convincing dinosaurs. There were more CGI-filled tentpole movies being produced than ever before. So, did we finally get that new wave of dino cinema? No. And what is the state of dinosaur movies over the last 25 years? Well, similar to the state of actual dinosaurs in the late Cretaceous period, pretty dire. The century started off on a mediocre note with Dinosaur, Disney's realistic CG animated movie about talking dinosaurs, which underperformed, followed the next year by Jurassic Park 3, which wasn't a flop, but which grossed half of what The Lost World did. The next theatrical movie to feature dinosaurs in a big way was 2005's A Sound of Thunder, and boy, I gotta say, it did not help things. Directed by Peter Hyams and based on the short story by Ray Bradbury, A Sound of Thunder is a time travel adventure movie about a company that takes people back in time to hunt dinosaurs. Cool premise, right? But the movie was plagued by catastrophic problems. Namely, the production company going bankrupt right after the shoot wrapped, which caused their planned post-production budget to be slashed by at least 60%. This resulted in maybe the worst visual effects in a theatrically released movie this century. It is shockingly bad stuff that really just makes me feel kind of bad for everyone involved. But that said, I do have to take a moment here to commemorate some truly abysmal CGI. So before you see this, remember, this came out over a decade after Jurassic Park. Unsurprisingly, the movie was not a hit. Over the next decade, there were multiple movies with dinosaurs that I would not classify as dinosaur movies. Journey to the Center of the Earth and Land of the Lost both featured characters traveling to hidden worlds where they get chased by a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but beyond that, there is not much dino content. Peter Jackson's King Kong, like the original 1933 movie, features a lot of dinosaurs in multiple major set pieces. Most famously, the big Kong versus T-Rex fight. Sorry, let me correct myself before you all jump into the comments. It is a V-Rex, which I believe is something that they made up for the movie, but I mean, let's be real. They're just T-Rexes with like an extra finger on each hand. But anyway, the point is, this is still a King Kong movie that happens to feature dinosaurs. Again, what we're looking for here are films where dinosaurs are the focus. Films such as Pixar's The Good Dinosaur from 2015. That is very much a movie that is fully about dinosaurs, good ones no less, but it's also an animated film about talking dinosaurs, not like cool dinos trying to eat people, which most of these movies have. And it also turned out to be Pixar's first flop. So what was going on? Were people just over dinosaurs? Had the coolest creatures to ever walk the earth been overexposed and lost their appeal? Or were most of these movies just not very good? Well, in 2015, the Jurassic Park legacy sequel, Jurassic World, was released, and it made $1.6 billion. Now, I think this movie is pretty terrible. I am really not a fan of it, but I understand why it was so successful. Enough time had passed that people had a ton of nostalgia for Jurassic Park, which again is like a perfect masterpiece of a movie, but also they just missed seeing big, exciting, lifelike dinosaurs. Unlike almost every other Legacy sequel, this one didn't even bother to include any popular Legacy characters. There was no Alan Grant, no Ian Malcolm, no Ellie Sattler. It just had the name, the John Williams theme song, and the promise of dinosaurs. And that's all it needed. And please don't go saying that it had B.D. Wong's character. I think B.D. Wong is great, but that character was never popular. Jurassic World led to 3 more sequels over the next decade, all of which were massive commercial successes. And if you need further proof that the appeal is the dinosaurs, not the characters, last year's sequel, Rebirth, did not feature a single returning character from any iteration of the franchise, and it still made $869 million. So for the last decade, this one franchise basically had a monopoly on dinosaurs in movies. Kong Skull Island basically avoided dinosaurs entirely, and no, we're not counting those skull crawler things. One of the very rare non-Jurassic dinosaur movies to come from a major studio was 65, the movie where Adam Driver's spaceship crashes on Earth 65 million years ago, and then he has to survive among a whole bunch of dinosaurs. Now that is such a cool premise for a movie, which is why it is a huge bummer that it's just not executed well. The movie's not very good. It's weirdly boring, and after their initial reveal, the dinosaurs aren't very exciting, and they're not in the movie nearly enough. But, there is one very unique example here that was released just last year called Primitive War. Honestly, I almost didn't even watch this movie since it looked like one of the countless garbage straight-to-DVD movies where soldiers with guns shoot at really terrible-looking CGI T-Rexes. But I'm really glad I did, because I swear to God, Primitive War turned out to be maybe the best legit dinosaur movie of the century. And yes, I know the bar is very low. It's an independently produced Australian movie about soldiers in the Vietnam War encountering dinosaurs that are brought through a portal created by a secret Soviet base. The war movie stuff is pretty generic, it's, nothing to write home about, but the dinosaur stuff is pretty great, with shockingly good visual effects, especially for a movie that cost, and yes, I did the math, 1.5% of Jurassic World Dominion. It has tons of dinosaurs doing awesome stuff. They're actually scary. The movie's rated R, and so it has some really gnarly kills, and they even take some time to let them be beautiful and majestic as well. I mean, mostly they're scary monsters, but there's some majestic stuff in there. And also, I think it's cool that it makes the effort to use more up-to-date dinosaurs with feathers, which the Jurassic films usually avoided. Now look, I want to be clear, it's not a masterpiece. It's basically a very solid B movie that's still like 20 minutes too long, but it's punching way above its weight, and it actually made me excited about dinosaur movies in a way I haven't been in a long time. But here's what's interesting. In multiple interviews, director Luke Spark revealed that he pitched the film to multiple Hollywood studios and continually got the same response. Everyone said, well, Jurassic has the monopoly on dinosaurs, and you are not Steven Spielberg, so how would anyone possibly do this if you're not Spielberg? They just think that the Jurassic Park franchise has the stranglehold on dinosaurs, which I say is kind of crazy because you can't IP dinosaurs. Exactly, it's crazy. This is like saying that Marvel has the monopoly on superheroes. When has Hollywood ever not tried to replicate a huge success? Especially now, when the visual effects to make convincing dinosaurs are more attainable than ever. Again, look what Primitive War did on a $7 million budget. It's like once a decade, we get something like 65, a movie that does a bad job and then flops, and so the studios just give up.
We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
To me, more than anything, this is a failure of imagination. And so, I'm here to help.
Okay, now this part is specifically directed at any Hollywood studio executives who might be watching. Right now, I know what you guys are saying. But Patrick, dinosaurs went extinct millions of years ago. If you want to make a movie about humans meeting dinosaurs, Jurassic Park already used up the one premise there is. To that I say, guys, come on. There are so many ways to get to a scene where some asshole gets torn apart by a T-Rex. So let me now present the 9 premises of dinosaur movies. Number 1, cloning. Obviously, this is what Jurassic Park did, but there's no reason you can't do it again. Universal Pictures doesn't own the movie rights to the idea of clones. Okay, number 2, time travel. People go back in time to dinosaur times, like in A Sound of Thunder, or people use time travel to bring dinos to our time, like Primitive War. Before I watched 65, I assumed that's what it was about, like a Planet of the Apes scenario where Adam Driver's spaceship travels through a wormhole and he ends up back in time. But no, that's not what it's about. It's about a guy from another planet where humans existed and invented space travel 65 million years ago. Which means there's another possible premise, number 3. Let me pull all these off. Humans on another planet during dinosaur times come to Earth. Honestly, this one is so weirdly specific that maybe we should just leave it alone. But please actually someone remake 65, because I said this already, but the premise is so good, and I really think you would get it right on the second try. Okay, anyway, premise number 4, robots. Yeah, instead of flesh and blood dinosaurs, what if they were robots? That's the premise of Tammy and the T-Rex, And also, what kind of counts here are the Dinobots in Transformers Age of Extinction. That is maybe the worst, or at least the most exhausting Transformers movie, but you cannot deny that those Dinobots are cool as hell. And them being in the trailer, I would say probably added like $300 million to the box office. Okay, now premise number 5. Frozen in ice, also known as the Captain America solution. This was used in some old monster movies like The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Basically, it's very simple. Dinosaurs get frozen by the Ice Age. Please don't correct me on the actual timeline here. And then they get thawed out in modern times and wreak havoc. And why do they get thawed out? Climate change, boom. Now you've got some political commentary, which is pretty cool, but ironically, Michael Crichton, author of Jurassic Park, would not have appreciated it, because I recently Googled it and found out he was a climate change denier. Bummer. Okay, so premise number 6. They just still exist. This is the most fuck you, just eat your popcorn and enjoy your damn dinos of all the premises. So here, someone just like finds a dinosaur. It seems impossible, but apparently not. Maybe you have a mystery and eventually explain where the dinosaur came from, or maybe it's just a miracle of nature. It's up to you. Okay, so premise number 7, a movie set in dino times where all the characters are dinos. Look, with this premise, they got 14 Land Before Time movies, so it works. It works, why not? Okay, number 8. Magic. Usually, dinosaur movies are science fiction, but why not fantasy? In Night at the Museum, how does that T-Rex skeleton come to life and start trying to eat Ben Stiller? Magic. Boom, done. On to the next and final one. Number 9, a secret place where dinosaurs still exist. This is the big one. Jules Verne basically created this premise in 1864 with his novel Journey to the Center of the Earth, which is about the discovery of a hidden land at the center of the Earth where prehistoric beasts still exist. And then this inspired other novels about hidden lands where dinosaurs live, like Edgar Rice Burroughs' Pellucidar series, and also Edgar Rice Burroughs' The Land That Time Forgot, and of course, Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. This would later inspire Skull Island in King Kong, which would later give us the Hollow Earth in Godzilla vs. Kong. So yeah, when in doubt, Secret Island. It's worked a million times, it'll work again. Okay, now those are the 9 main premises, but I've got a few bonus ones for you. Buckle up. Okay, number 10. An alternate timeline where humans and dinosaurs coexist. For an example of this, please see the aforementioned Theodore Rex. That movie didn't really pan out, but you know, it's been 30 years. Maybe it's time to try again. Okay, number 11. The biblical dinosaur movie. This is where we take a page from the book of Petersburg, Kentucky's Creation Museum. And here we put dinosaurs within the biblical timeline. So in this version of events, dinosaurs were vegetarians that hung out with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. And then Noah brought some of the smaller dinosaurs onto his ark. Let me say that one more time. We've got dinosaurs on Noah's Ark. Look, I'm not gonna comment on the Creation Museum's larger ideas, but as a movie, that shit sounds great. It could literally be called Jurassic Ark. Like, come on, that idea is just sitting there on a silver platter. What are we doing here, folks? Come on. Okay, fine. Which finally brings me to idea number 12. T-Rexes and F-14s from that one Calvin and Hobbes strip. I think it speaks for itself. What's frustrating about dinosaurs in cinema, beyond of course the egregious lack of them, is that for 100 years, they have been almost exclusively used in the same way, as giant monsters that eat people. Primitive War, as pleasant a surprise as it was, is absolutely a monster movie about soldiers shooting guns at raptors. The poster for The Valley of Gwangi, about people discovering dinosaurs in Mexico, announces Cowboys Battle Monsters. The premise of 65 is that there's a planet full of monsters trying to kill the protagonist. In Journey to the Center of the Earth and Land of the Lost, dinosaurs are exclusively there as things for the main characters to run away from. What everyone seems to forget is that the magic alchemy that made the original Jurassic Park a masterpiece was the combination of horror and wonder. The two best, most iconic scenes in the movie are the T-Rex attack, obviously, but also the initial Brachiosaurus encounter, a scene that moves grown men to tears just by how goddamn majestic these massive beasts are. And throughout the movie, in between the running and the screaming, Spielberg makes sure to include several scenes that emphasize the beauty and magnificence of the dinosaurs, treating them like animals, not just monsters. But then every Jurassic Park sequel is just a monster movie. There might be like one scene in the middle where it briefly pauses to be like, wow, they're so beautiful. And then the running and the screaming immediately start again. Dinosaurs can do so much more than chase people. You just need a little imagination. Or even better, an IP with pre-awareness that is all ready to go. Look, there's one explanation for the lack of dinosaur movies that we have not discussed yet. See, for the last 20 years, as you're probably aware, Hollywood has been terrified to make a movie that's not based on a familiar IP. Even back in the 90s, when original blockbuster movies got made, Jurassic Park was still based on a best-selling novel. And dinosaur movies usually cost a lot of money. The last couple Jurassic Worlds are some of the most expensive movies ever made. So, if you're gonna spend the GDP of a small nation, logically, you want the security of adapting something with a built-in audience. I mean, I would argue that dinosaurs are basically a free IP that do have a built-in audience, but whatever. Okay, so now we're getting to the real meat of the episode. All you dino-shy Hollywood producers out there, this next bit is for you. Are you dismayed that the Jurassic franchise has a lock on dinosaur movies? Do you wish there was just some other route to that perfect dino IP? Well, I think I have the answer for you. There is still one property that is begging to be adapted, that should, right now, be an enormously popular series of movies, or, if we really have to, an exorbitantly expensive streaming show. I'm talking about Dinotopia. Yeah, look, we say this a lot, but being a kid in the 90s kinda rocked. We had Jurassic Park, we had that insane live-action dinosaur sitcom, we had Dino Nuggets, and we had Dinotopia. Dinotopia was a 1992 book written and illustrated by James Gurney that tells the story of a boy and his father in the mid-1800s who were shipwrecked on an island where humans and dinosaurs coexist and live in a peaceful society. The book and its sequels are basically travelogues, written as a series of journal entries as the father and son explore this world and become a part of the society built around living in harmony with dinosaurs. A major appeal of the book is the spectacular, hyper-detailed illustrations. It is grade A dino stuff on every page, a book that I defy any 7-year-old not to become obsessed with and dream of how great it would be to live in this world. These books have sold millions of copies, and there are a bunch more spin-off books by other authors building out the world and the mythology. This is the major dinosaur property that is begging to be made. And to be fair, they have tried. In the mid-90s, Columbia Pictures spent several years developing a Dinotopia movie, with multiple scripts being written and lots of concept artwork and visual effects tests being done. George Lucas even considered getting involved at one point, and many have pointed out that the illustrations in the book seems to be a pretty big influence on the design of Naboo in The Phantom Menace. But in 1997, the project was scrapped, with the studio deciding it would just be way too expensive to execute. Columbia then sold the rights to Hallmark Entertainment, who made a 3-episode miniseries for ABC in 2002. Now obviously, at the time I watched it, and I remember it being disappointing. A big reason for that is that visual effects on TV at the time just could never look as good as this needed to. The miniseries led to a TV series being greenlit, but it was canceled after only 6 of its 13 episodes aired. And there were also a few video games made, but none of this lived up to the series' potential. And now, 20 years later, visual effects have become so advanced that it's totally possible to do this well and finally have a dinosaur movie, or show, but preferably movie, that is not just another monster movie and isn't a Jurassic Park knockoff. James Gurney, the creator of Dinotopia, wrote a lengthy post on his Substack a couple years ago called "Why Can't They Make a Movie Out of Dinotopia?" And in it, he discusses the various attempts to adapt the books and why they consistently failed. The biggest issue that Gurney lays out is that the books lack a traditional cinematic narrative, saying, quote, "It lacks a 3-act structure. It's episodic and sprawling without any strong conflict or peril for the main characters. The illustrated books are not focused on the characters, but on what they see." And he's not wrong, but as a counterpoint, consider that the Avatar movies, some of the biggest movies of all time, devote large portions of their running time to basically being travelogues, as the characters explore new cultures and ecosystems and interact with the animals there. So a Dinotopia movie that's like The Way of Water, but with dinosaurs? I don't know, sounds pretty good to me. Gurney actually proposes multiple ideas for a compelling adaptation that would pull more from the spin-off books or prequels, which are more character-driven and full of conflict and action. But the part of his piece that stands out to me the most is an analogy he makes, saying that Dinotopia is to Jurassic Park what E.T. was to Alien. And as you might remember, E.T. is one of the most successful, popular, beloved movies ever made. So I say, why can't we just do that again, but, you know, with dinosaurs? The last 2 Jurassic World movies, Dominion and Rebirth, begin with the utterly insane premise that society has become bored with dinosaurs, that everyone is so used to them now that they don't care anymore. But I ask, if people are so bored, why do they keep going to see these bad movies? It's because people are starved for dinosaurs. They want more. Recently, Warner Brothers released the mysterious teaser for David Robert Mitchell's upcoming film, The End of Oak Street, which ends with a very intriguing shot of a dinosaur outside a suburban house. Will this be a version of dinosaur movie premise number 2? Maybe. Whatever it is the most promising dino-related film on the horizon. Apologies to Paw Patrol the Dino movie. You know, sometimes I wonder, is the problem just that Spielberg's original Jurassic Park was too good? Did it leave such a seismic impact on movies? Does its shadow still loom so large that anyone who has tried to do a dinosaur movie since '93 has either chickened out or fumbled the thing? Well, if I've done my job today, I hope I've managed to at least encourage someone out there. Some soul with the mind to make a new dinosaur movie, but who perhaps needed that last push of encouragement. Because I'm here to say, it's possible. It's totally possible. There are still new paths yet to be taken. After all, don't dinos deserve it? They ruled the Earth for 180 million years, 600 times as long as humans have existed. These guys are the true rulers of Earth. So let's show them a little more respect. I think all of our inner childs and inner children will appreciate it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some toys to play with. Hello from the set of our next episode. This one is all about the weird world of blockbusters made for streaming platforms. I'm talking about movies like The Electric State, or Red Notice, or Fountain of Youth. Movies with enormous budgets and huge stars that just don't seem like they actually exist. It's a big mystery, and I had to watch a lot of bad movies for it, but I think what we found is pretty exciting. I just finished shooting this episode, but right now, when you're watching this, it's already out. You can go watch it right now on Nebula. Nebula, as you may have heard, is the indie streaming platform where all of our episodes premiere weeks before they go on YouTube, and also with no ads. And there you can watch so many of your favorite creators, and so much stuff that you can't get anywhere else. Like Lindsay Ellis, who I'm sure you all know, one of the absolute greats of the video essay world, one of the best to ever do it. Almost all her new videos for the past 5 years are only available on Nebula, including a great one that is very relevant to this episode about Jurassic Park. Or, I would recommend her latest as well, exploring South Park and the legacy of Trey Parker and Matt Stone. And folks, there is so much more. You can watch my short film that came out late last year, The Dinner Plan. You can watch the great comedy debate show Abolish Everything, where I appear as an abolitionist in season 2, or the new show Tom Scott England, which I have nothing to do with. It's just a great show that I would recommend. So if any of this sounds interesting, here's what you do. You can click the link in the description, or you can type this into your browser, or you can scan this QR code, and if you do that, you can get an entire year of Nebula for 50% off. That comes out to only $2.50 a month, which is a pretty good deal. And if you use my code, it helps support my channel as well. And we love that. So again, the next episode is out right now on Nebula. Go watch it. It's a good one. That's all. Good night.
Hey there, I'm Patrick's sister Mary, and I'm here to talk to you about why Dinotopia is so amazing. If you watch our Christmas Q&As, then you probably already know that I am a librarian, so you can trust me, I know my stuff. I've been a huge fan of these books since I was a little kid, and now I try and get my students to read them because they are amazing. So James Gurney, who is the writer and the illustrator, he was a National Geographic illustrator. So he was the guy that paleontologists would send all the info to when they discovered a new species of dinosaur, and then he would be the one that would beautifully illustrate and bring that dinosaur to life. So his illustrations are absolutely amazing. And then my other favorite thing about them is that it's written to be like a naturalist field guide. So he digs into like the language and the architecture and the ecology and the food and the clothes they wear. And it's just full of all these really cool ideas of how dinosaurs and humans symbiotically live together. And yeah, they're so great. You gotta go check them out. Okay.